dignitaries from the state of Michigan, please stand up and please come over here with Mr. Chapman. I want all my legislators. So if you want to lower car insurance, I want you to look real mean at all these people over here and tell them, say, lower the rates. Say, lower the rates. All right, we have Lori Stone, Joe. Tell all my Michigan House of Representatives and these senators. We have Alma Stallworth here, one of the most legendary elected officials in the history of Michigan. Please stand up, Alma Stallworth. And if you'd like to join us and Mother Watson, bring her over with Miss White from the Teachers Union. We want to take some pictures with Alma Stallworth, Mother Stallworth, Mother Watson. Jewel Jones and Lori Stone from Warren. Could you please stand over here by Mr. Chapman? Brenda Carter knows she's a state rep. I don't know why she's acting brand new. All my state officials. Come on over here to the left. Joe Tate, you know who you are if you were elected. If you don't know, that's a problem. We have our Reverend David Bullock here, Reverend Ed Rowe. A lot of dignitaries in the house. We're so excited. All right, if you look to the back, there's a former Michigan State Spartan, former NFL player named Joe Tate, who we were trying to get to come up here with the other state reps, but now he's walking to get some Pepsi. All right, that's the big guy from the east side, Joe Tate, state representative. Tell him to lower the rates.
السلام عليكم. نحن اليوم في احتفال المجلس الأمريكي لحقوق الإنسان American-U.S.A في ميشيغان لتكريم الناشطين والمبدعين في العمل الحقوقي والإنساني. منتظرين أن يبدأ الحفل بعد قليل. الضيوف ما زالوا يصلون إلى المكان. وما زلنا في انتظار بقية المدعوين. دكتور صالح رئيس المجلس الأمريكي لحقوق الإنسان. الله الاستاذ سعيد، اهلا وسهلا. احنا لايف على صفحات المختلفة، سعيد اشوفك. الله يخليك.
And then we're doing a big thing.
They came here?
Yeah, like.
المحامي جماعة فيروز والمدير التنفيذي محمد حمد والمسؤولين الحكوميين وأعضاء مجلس الكونجرس في ولاية ميشيغان، القنصل مختار القنصل اليمني في ميشيغان، الأستاذة سماء الأستاذة لطيفة من المكرمين في معنا في هذا اليوم. حياك الله أستاذة سمر، نحن الآن لايف على صفحة المغترب. ما شاء الله من صفحة المغترب اليوم اليوم.
Let's start over here because they're gonna start.
عضو مجلس النواب في ولاية ميشيغان الدكتور صالح رئيس المجلس الأمريكي لحقوق الإنسان. السلام عليكم brother. How you doing? عبد الله الشيخ ليه يصير عبد الله؟ الاستاذ عبد الوهاب
كيف حالك؟
هاي الله يسلمك عبد الوهاب، نحن بشر مباشر على صفحة المغترب.
الله يفتح عليك.
الله يسلمك ويعافيك، سعيد ان احنا
نحن
نشوفك
سعداء
اليوم.
ان احنا يعني نشوفكم ان شاء الله ونلتقي بهذا شكرا جزيلا على هذا الاستقبال والحفاوه والترحيب بهذا الشيء. شكرا لك.
سلم عليك.
الله يسلمك.
سعيد اشوفك. لا سلام الله.
عبد الله.
الاستاذ محمد سعيد عبد الله، الاستاذ سامر العصري.
يا صورنا والهنا
قد تعليق احنا على صفحة المغترب بث لايف الان.
بث لايف. اهلا وسهلا فيك واهلا وسهلا اهلا وسهلا فيك واهلا وسهلا في صفحة المغترب اليمني.
المؤسسة اليمنية للعمل الامريكي للعمل السياسي، الاستاذ محمد سعيد عبد الله من الجمعية
اليمنية الامريكية.
الجمعية اليمنية الامريكية في ديربون، ان شاء الله من انشط الناس الاثنين.
اهلا وسهلا فيك
مجتمعنا اليمني.
بس الان بنرجع لموضوعنا.
Dr. Salah Musa, Advanced Medical Clinic. Please stand up, Dr. Salah Musa. Thank you for your generosity. He's also our president of the organization. I want to thank the Masri Clinic for laser and cosmetic surgery. Dr. Haitham Masri, please stand up, Dr. Masri. We thank you for your generosity and support for our advocacy. And we also want to thank the law offices of Jumana K. Ruse for her platinum sponsorship. Don't call Sam, call Jumana. Come on. We We have Millie Hall here from the Coalition of Labor Union Women. She's in the house with a lovely silver hat. Millie Hall, mother of former State Rep Derek Hale. Appreciate you for being here. Do we have any Deltas or members of that sorority? Is that Dorothy Burrell? She's a Delta. You can give her a round of applause. Is anybody from our blue and white family, Sigmas or Zetas in the house? All right, we got some Zetas. Oh, and Alicia Bell, she's a Zeta. I'm just kidding, a Delta. Please stand while we, for our national anthem. Please stand up, everyone.
الآن بداية الحفلة بالنشيد الوطني.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose red stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight are the ramparts we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of death with victory and peace? May the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause is just, and victory our mark. In God is our trust, and the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
That was an anthem sang by Dr. D.L. Teemer, pastor, Mount Olive Multicultural Community Church, and founder of Calvary House. We have so many wonderful faith leaders here. We have Minister Fuqua Bay. We acknowledge you, Reverend Ed Rowe, and so many. We're going to start with an opening prayer. I want to introduce Reverend David Alexander Bullock of Greater St. Matthew Church, Highland Park, Michigan, former assistant to Reverend Jesse Jackson from Rainbow Push. He's the leader of the Change Agent Consortium, a fighter for environmental justice, equal rights. Reverend David Bullock.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Pastor David Bullock. I pastor the Greater St. Matthew Baptist Church. It's my honor to be here tonight. And I would like to take a brief moment and offer a prayer of invitation or invocation into this program, this awards dinner and gala. I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment, to refrain out of respect to the divine creator for one moment. And I'll wait on you. Shall we pray? God of our weary years and God of our silent tears, God who has brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God and true to our native land. It is our request, O God, tonight, that you would allow us to pause from the minute moments of our life, where we are concerned about bills and paychecks, budgets, policy, and prestige. We're worried about status and social standing. It is our prayer tonight that you would allow us to find a moment to pause and focus on the truth that we are all human beings, that we all bleed the same blood, that we all have a story to tell, and all have been endowed by you with the same rights, and those rights must be respected. It is our prayer tonight that we would find the courage to come out of ethnic silos, slide past denominational walls, that we would tunnel through the pain that keeps us from seeing the same story and all of the tears and struggles that we share as human beings tonight. It is our prayer that we would pause from being worried about the high moment of the party, and that we would find joy in the low valley of the struggle. The struggle not just against what the mainstream media puts in our faces to consume, not just the struggle defined by tweets on Twitter or posts on Instagram, not the struggle defined by how many likes are on Facebook, but the struggle that is eternal in all of us, which is the struggle to learn how to love somebody besides ourselves. We pray, oh God, that you would give us the strength to move from our pause and develop a pulse, a heartbeat for humanity, that we might reach out and touch somebody and lift them up. We might sing that song, if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living will not be in vain. Finally, oh God, thank you for the pause. Thank you for the pulse. We pray that you'll give us a praise, but not a praise born of hitting the jackpot or getting rich or making our name great, but a praise born of a powerful praxeology that says it was rough sometimes, but we made it. We were misunderstood, but we didn't give up. They talked about us, but we didn't lose the faith. We pray, oh God, that we might be worthy of the great cloud of witnesses, that when we get there, Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin King, Sojourner Truth, and all of the other great freedom fighters who did not trade their powerful voice for a mess of social privilege polish, we pray that when we get there, we'll hear you say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Make us worthy of your spirit in this place tonight. Somebody clap your hands and say amen.
Everybody say amen. Thank you, Reverend David Alexander Bullock, civil rights leader, right in our own time. We appreciate you. I want to bring up for welcoming remarks our next speaker, but I also want Commander Bettison from, well, Deputy Chief Bettison to come up, Commander Mooney, and your other Deputy Chief, and Representative State Troopers to accompany Chief Haddad for the next presentation. If you please join us. Everybody make some noise for our law enforcement. And I think we got some DNR over there, the guy in the green. Who you guys representing? Border Patrol, y'all better call us federal. U.S., please join us. U.S., give it up for U.S. Border Patrol. We don't see no drama on the Canadian border. They're doing a good job. They risk their lives every day to protect us. And I know the Wayne County Sheriff is in here somewhere. Benny Napoleon usually sends a table. Oh, they're over there protecting us. Please join us on the stage, Wayne County Sheriff Department. Benny Napoleon, we love you, from the west side of Detroit. Oh yeah, Inkster, you know, Chief Riley, William Riley. Give it up for Inkster! Anybody from Inkster in the house, make some noise. Oh, we got a few Inkster.
Well, since he carried his own plans, we cannot miss to call on the stage our fellow partners from the FBI and ICE. So you identify them, so you're protected with no surveillance tonight. So, can I call, and the U.S. Attorney Office representative, Robert Berkey. I want all the law enforcement agents to come here. Yeah, but you didn't call all of them. All right.
Give it up for law enforcement, federal, state, city, Inkster. And while we're at it, if you're a veteran, please stand up, a veteran of the military. Give it up for our veterans. Our veterans, I know we got some Marines in the house, some Army, some Navy, some Coast Guard. We got Chaplain Art Berry from the DPD. Ain't nothing going down up in here today, is there? All right, Chief Haddad, who's world-renowned, who's been called to Washington to talk about what he's done here in Dearborn with community relations.
Thank you. Good afternoon. What do we say after all of this, right? You know, I was going to apologize for gravitating to a cop table. We try to, you know, mingle with the community. And as hard as we fought, we haven't seen some of these guys in a long time. All the cops ended up at the table here. And I knew we weren't alone, but I didn't think we had this much backup. So, but let me put this in perspective. First of all, welcome tonight. There's so much greatness in the room that we're all humbled up here, I can tell you that. But when you think about this, there are 800,000 men and women across America that are police officers. 800,000. Last time I checked, there's about 350 million people in the United States of America, and America's a real big place. And we depend on these 800,000 men and women to keep the peace in a very civil, very humane, very professional way. And I'm going to speak for these guys up here and the women. We're not going to be defined by the worst action that's indefensible, but I'm telling you that the men and women up here go out here and they defend our civil rights and our human rights every single day. And to be involved with the entire community is what the new policing is all about. And when we get one department convinced, we got, you know, about another 12,000 to go. But it takes a long time to turn the ship around in police work, because you got people with 25 years seniority that were trained by people with 25 years seniority. So it is a tough culture to turn around. But I'm going to tell you, it's never been harder to be a cop in America, and I've done this 46 years. And I'm really proud of law enforcement in southeastern Michigan. I couldn't be prouder of these men and women back here. And I don't know how Imad does this year after year, but you fill the place up. We're not going to call in the fire marshal tonight, but this is great. And my mayor couldn't be here tonight, so on behalf of our mayor, John B. O'Reilly Jr., our 98,153 residents in our city, 250 great men and women of the Dearborn Police Department, I got an easy job. I just want to say welcome, congratulations. You're going to meet some great honorees tonight that really do a great thing. And if I can share this with you, when the mayor hired me, he had to convince me to take this job because I'd done it 34 years prior in Detroit. And he said, we're going to be friends, but I'm going to leave you with this. He said, there are times in life when you find yourself somewhere you never thought you wanted to be or would be. But when you look beyond that, the common good of the people and humanity hangs in the balance. And I can tell you that tonight you're going to meet people that push beyond that, and they hold the common good of humanity in the balance. So congratulations to the awardees tonight, and thank you for being here. Hold up, everybody. Okay, one more thing. I need backup on this. I met a delightful mayor in the mayor's office this morning, Dr. Sadfa Jaffer. Where are you at? Come on up, Doc. That's Sadaf, right? Sadaf. Okay, we don't want to butcher that. She's the mayor of Montgomery Township in New Jersey. And this morning, the mayor presented her with a key to the city. I can tell you, she's up to the task, and you're going to make changes there. And anything we can do to support you, we're going to do that. But I learned as much from you as I hope you learned from me this morning. So, again, on behalf of our mayor and our city, we're going to give you this key to our city, which means that our doors are always open for you to come and visit and whatever you need here. So congratulations and thank you.
Mayor, don't leave yet. No, I got this, come on. So, every year I try to think of a way to honor Ahmad Hamad because he's one of the most important fighters for justice in the history of our state. I don't know if you know about his history, how he fought a case for 30 years when they accused him of being a terrorist. He took on the world, and John Dingell and John Conyers stood with him, and he won. I mean, this man is one of the most renowned refugees in the history of our nation. Give it up for Ahmad Hamad. And instead of giving him another tribute, because he has so many, he's got like 300 behind that banner that has been sent from across the world for all of our honorees. But after 9/11, U.S. Senator Carl Levin asked Ahmad Hamad to pull together law enforcement, and they established Bridges, which was the most powerful law enforcement community engagement coalition in the history of our nation, for the whole nation. And it was Ahmad Hamad with then U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Collins, appointed by a Republican president. We had Democrats, Republicans, police, imams, pastors working together. And I just want you to come here, Ahmad. I'm introducing you now as our executive director. And if everybody can come around him and just give him a round of applause. Ahmad Hamad. You have U.S. Border Patrol here because of this little guy with the big heart. You have Inkster Chief of Police here because of this man. And so I just feel safer that we're going to take on police brutality and these issues by working together. So let me introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, Ahmad Hamad.
Thank you. I think I salute you all, and you can go ahead and enjoy the evening. That was totally unexpected, but thank you. Please have a seat. On behalf of the American Human Rights Council, volunteers, then the board, and the advisory members, I thank you all for joining our gala this year. Our gala is an occasion where we celebrate the culture of human rights and human dignity. When we talk about the human rights, we talk about us. When we ask humanity, what is the most aching, what is the most painful, and who caused such pain to humanity? Humanity will tell us, we, the people. We understand Mother Nature disasters, but we can find no logic for the human-made disasters. And these human-made disasters being a tremendous challenge facing our nation here at home and facing the whole universe. We'll all be reminded with the series of horrific terrorist attacks here at home and abroad. Terror is terror. Terror is one. Terror and hate, discrimination, and racism are blind. They recognize no race, no faith, no color, no nationality. Unfortunately, it's the tough reality that we are facing nowadays, that the threat of terror and hate crimes and hate are real and part of our reality that require our unity, our collective efforts, not only to react when sad tragedies take place, but to be proactive and to strengthen and advance our partnership so we not only face it, we simply defeat it together. These crimes are crimes against humanity, period. There is no justification, no ifs, no buts about that. A New Zealander live as a living, strong, painful reminder to all of us. A few days ago, horrific attacks, and more even in a scale of innocent lives in Sri Lanka. If you look quickly at the list of these horrific attacks, terrorist attacks, you see that they excluded no one. They attacked churches, mosques, temples, synagogues, mosques, so nobody was excluded. And this is why acts of hate or hate, racism, bigotry, and terrorism is our common enemy, and no society, no city, no state, no country is immune of this threat. I know that many fellow Americans enjoyed a blessed Easter last week. I know so many fellow Americans are celebrating it as we are here in this gala. They have their Good Friday today, and that's why many of our friends couldn't make it. And we wish them a blessed Easter as well. We know that fellow Jewish Americans are observing and celebrating the Passover, and we wish them a blessed one. And we know that the Muslim American community will be celebrating and observing the holy month of Ramadan that will start on May 6th to June 6th, and that will be a special month of faith and reflection and giving and sharing for the Muslim American community in America and across the world. So in this spirit, greetings and God bless all. I see when we go into the name calling by acknowledging and recognizing dignitaries, it's going to be a big list. And definitely, regardless, Isaac thinks he's smart, he will not forget anyone, but I do. I'm not as smart as Isaac, I guess. So what I would say, I will ask members, elected officials, who are in the audience to stand up and be recognized. Elected officials. Now, members of the judicial system, judges, to stand up. Judges. I want to end here by, we have a special letter that we received from the Embassy of New Zealand on behalf of the Prime Minister, sending their greetings and appreciation to all of you and to the community at large for the expressed solidarity with the New Zealand during the horrific terrorist attack that took place at the time. So on behalf of the New Zealand Embassy and the Prime Minister, you have their best regards and appreciation. And by the way, they promised us with an appearance in the future in Michigan. I will end here by thanking you all again, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Brother Hamad. I want to bring up a dynamic student from Wayne State University, Mr. Bashar Kachkuch, who's studying biomedical physics. He's been active in our organization for the last several years. Bashar, where are you at? All right, Bashar, that's okay. So they're talking to Elisa. All right, give it up for our young leader.
Hi, how are you guys? I hope you're having a wonderful evening. So having worked with the AHRC since I was a kid, I've had the honor to work alongside the former president, Dr. Al-Zahili, and now the current president, Dr. Salah Muslim. And what a remarkable guy, let me tell you guys. Like, besides all the good he does in the clinic, he's always contributing to the community and offering help to those who need it. And like, being a doctor is really stressful. I always want to be a doctor, but he's always under so much pressure, but he always obliges. And people are always asking him, like, can you help me with this? Can you do this? Can you do that? No one ever asked Dr. Muslim, what do you need? How can I help you? So maybe you guys should ask him that next time you see him. How can we help you? But back to the point. Sorry. Within the grim landscape we live in today, where like every day we wake up to bad news, it's really easy to want to give up. But it's within that landscape where organizations such as the AHRC become more and more important. Because we have to show that no matter how much shit they throw at us, no matter how bad it gets, we will always stand together. And humanity will always win. So, with that spirit, please help me welcome the president of the AHRC, Dr. Salah Muslim.
رئيس المجلس الدكتور صالح مصلح.
And Vice President, please join us also, Naveed Ashraf. Are you here, Naveed, and our entire board? Please stand with our president. I just did, brother. Ahmad wants me to say it again. Members of the board of the American Human Rights Council, please join us on stage to accompany our president. If you choose not to come up, that's fine. Give it up for our president.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the board of AHRC, American Human Rights Council, I'd like to welcome each one that has made the effort to come on this evening, Friday evening. I know it's a difficult time to make it. I want to welcome our guests, our honorees tonight, and on behalf of AHRC, I'd like to thank our sponsors who have made this possible. We are in a time that I never imagined would be like this. Growing up in the United States of America, in the city of New York since the age of 10, I have never ever envisioned or imagined that our society would regress in certain aspects, such as what we have been seeing, racism, and other things that are so un-American. But we are Americans. We are very proud to be Americans, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Our gathering here, the voice of righteousness will definitely overcome what is happening. I cannot leave the stage tonight without mentioning what is happening in the other country that I love, the country that I was born in. And unfortunately, it's happening in many places. But again, never envisioned that such things that are happening in Yemen right now, and I'm concentrating on the inhumanity and the human suffering that is happening at this time. On a daily basis, people like me are in touch with our people. They are dying. They are hungry. And you know what? The only thing that matters to certain quarters is how much money is Saudi Arabia selling for the bombing. I want to thank anyone who is having a voice or is trying to do something about it. One of our honored guests tonight, and I will let her have that opportunity for introduction when she comes up, because Isaac will do a better job than me, is doing something. Because there's something that we are in agreement, and that is the humanitarian disaster that is happening in Yemen, and I wish it can be relieved. So finally, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Ahmad Hamad for the hard work that he's doing. You know, he is the one behind most of what's happening. And I want to thank all the supporters of the American Human Rights Council. It is their support that makes it possible for this organization to spend, you know, the time that is badly needed. Again, thank you all for making the effort to be this evening, and thank you.
Give it up for the board of AHRC. Next, we're going to be honoring some of our women leaders in our organization who took a trip to the United Nations recently. I'd like Mother Joanne Watson to join us on stage. Virgie Rollins, please join us on stage. The chair of the Wayne County Commissioner Alicia Bell, please join us on stage as we do a special presentation to some of our women delegates to the United Nations. And if you are a county official named Glenn Anderson, a county commissioner from Westland, please join us. Former state senator. Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. If you are a county official in Wayne Macomb, please join us on stage. You get to take a picture with Alicia Bell. She's a Delta too. Wayne County Clerk Kathy M. Garrett is here, who represents the biggest county in Michigan. I'm going to bring up now Attorney Allison Fulmar for our next presentation. Sam Baydoun is still a Wayne County Commissioner, he knows that. Is Attorney Allison Fulmar here? Give it up for that hummus that is saving the day, Greenfield Manor. We'd have starved if we didn't have that hummus. Yes. All right, this is Virgie Rollins. She had Barack Obama on her house over on 7 Mile and something. And Bill Clinton. Whoever she supports usually becomes president. Okay, she's supporting Joe, but you know, there's still about 10 other people, Bernie and Beto and... Okay, everybody, please bring up all the delegates. Attorney Fomar is not here. We want all the women who went to the United Nations to represent us, and we're gonna have Commissioner Bell do a presentation. Are any of our delegates that went to the United Nations here? DJ Dwight Valentine is here. He's the best ballroom DJ in Detroit. What up, Dwight?
The gentle ladies who attended the International Women's Session at the United Nations this March as part of an AHRC delegation. Please, if you're present here, to come forward. I know Attorney Alison Milford was supposed to be here. She was supposed to be the presenter, but we proceed with them. Actually, I'll take the liberty to deliver her remarks. These ladies here, is Sarah Nabhan here? No? Okay. I have here Ms. Hala Spati. She's one of our backbone volunteers. And I tell you, without her, you will not see the setting here. So I ask you to give her a good applause. Otherwise, I'll be in fire. She headed the delegation to the United Nations, and Anna, originally from Ghana, was part of the delegation. She's an activist. She fights for political prisoner rights, immigration rights, global education, and global health for everyone. So without further ado, I would like to bring Anna to speak, and then we will give her the presentations. Anna.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for the presentation. My name is Anna Gucha. Oh, this one? Okay, sorry. Oh, closer. Wow, so March 11th to 21st, I had one of my biggest dreams fulfilled. It was visiting the United Nations with a purpose to witness leaders explain to us what they're doing to progress their countries. As an African, I was very much focused on African countries and what they were doing to promote children and women's health. So far, so good, I'd say. It was definitely a dream come true, and I'm really, really grateful to American Human Rights Council for the opportunity. If I tell you guys the backstory, it's a little funny now. So I kind of gave the organization a heart attack, just a little bit. So I was talking to one of my mentors, and she got this notifications that the UN is inviting people to come in there and witness what leaders are doing. So I tried to register through the organization who my mentor is directing, and her organization wasn't there. So I went through like all the organizations because I was very determined to go. I was like, I'm going. So I went through all the organizations, and I saw American Human Rights Council. So I Googled the organization, just kind of looked up, and I realized that they also were very interested in prisoners' rights. So I was like, oh, okay, let's go. So I registered through the organization, sent an email to the wrong email, and I got this feedback, like the second I registered, registered. So once they were trying to meet each other, like the women and each other, just to see, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. They realized that they had no idea who Anna was, so they just started losing their minds. So I got an email, and I was like, back. I was like, okay. So I go back and we had a conversation, and I was like, wow, like, you really tested for your humanity because this organization. So I stand before you have a lot of things to say. I'm very concerned with human rights. Fulfill one of my dreams and talk to people I never even believed I would speak to. So thank you once again for all of your service to fund me some time.
So, Ms. Anna, on behalf of the Wayne County Commission, and I have my commissioners here with me, Diane Webb, Lynn Anderson, and Sam Baydoun, and I'm the chair, Alicia Bell. We want to give you this acknowledgement for your tireless activism in defending prisoners, women's rights, children's rights, and being a strong advocate for proper health and education. So thank you for all that you do. Congratulations.
All my commissioners, take a picture with our honoree. Isn't she great? Give it up for our honoree, Miss Anna. I want to bring up 3 people at one time. We're about to start ripping through this program. Watch me do it. We have Abdullah Sheik in the house, tapping the J's, fish and chicken. He brings that lemon pepper like anybody. Come on up for a second, Brother Sheik. My man, I rode a bus to Washington in 2003 trying to save affirmative action. We have Hester Wheeler, former executive director of the biggest NAACP chapter in the world, Detroit branch NAACP, and assistant to the Honorable Jocelyn Benson. Give it up for the one and only Hester Wheeler. He's also Kari Wheeler's dad. I went to Renaissance with him. And whenever I used to see a president of the United States coming to see an imam, it would be usually to meet the one and only Imam Syed Hassan Fazini from the Islamic American Institute. Please join us. One of the most caring, passionate faith leaders in the country. Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Isaac Robinson. Thank you, Brother Imam Hamad. Good evening, everybody. My name is Hester Wheeler, and I think events like this are so significant. I think events like this really showcase what's necessary and what's right. I think the things that connect us are so much greater than the things that divide us. So my name is Hester Wheeler. I serve as your Assistant Secretary of State. I am pleased to pitch hit on behalf of Jocelyn Benson. If you don't know Jocelyn Benson, you ought to get to know her. And on Jocelyn's behalf, I'd love to just extend congratulations to all of our awardees tonight. What you do and what you've done is so significant. We need so many more like you. So many more like you. So congratulations. Jocelyn cut her teeth when she went to work at the Southern Poverty Law Center. She stood at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge where people were beat down and they were bit by dogs. And they were laying in the ground bleeding, all for that precious right to vote. Jocelyn says that she said a prayer on the day that she stood at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Alabama. And she made the commitment that she would spend the rest of her life trying to make it right. Voting rights and access to the voting experience, we should never apologize for doing what is right. So the voters in November 6th of 2000 last year, they gave us some significant new laws. The right to vote is significant here in Michigan. No excuse absentee voting, online voter registration, early voting, that is significant. So I'm here to just remind you that we need you. We've got a lot of education to do. We've got a lot of opportunity to get more people into the voting process. Jocelyn's also committed to redistricting. Our own Wayne County Clerk, Kathy Garrett, and so many others are working together to implement these new laws. We think districts ought to look like the people they represent. We think that public disclosure and transparency ought to be the law of the land. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of work to do. On behalf of Jocelyn Benson, she wanted to be here. She had some conflicting issues, including her 3-year-old son. But we'll be back. Good evening. And when people ask us how long we fight, it's one answer. We fight until we win. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I'd like to introduce Imam Kazwini.
My dear brothers and sisters, my dear friend, peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to commend the American Human Rights Council, and particularly my dear friend Imad Hamid, for his courage and for his resilience in promoting human rights. If you ask me as a Muslim Imam, what is the most important entity in Islam in the eyes of God? I tell you, it is not a mosque, it is not a church, it is not a synagogue, it is not any holy scripture, it is the human life. It is the humans that are considered the most holy in the eyes of God. To the point that shedding one drop of blood, according to our holy Prophet Muhammad, is worse than the world annihilation. And therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, I take this opportunity, as I'm speaking to you, to condemn the vicious and terrorist attack that took place against churches, hotels, and that took the life of over 350 people in Sri Lanka last Sunday. And I want to tell you also, my dear brothers and sisters, that no matter how those criminals and murderers call themselves, what I know, they have nothing to do with Islam and our religion. God tells us in the Quran very clearly that killing one innocent person is equivalent to killing the entire mankind. And therefore, what happened in Sri Lanka last Sunday was a big disgrace. And there were two victims, actually. Two main victims. One, it was 350 humans who were killed unjustly by those murderers. And the second victim was, unfortunately, our religion as Muslims. Those who have managed to hijack Islam and to speak for Islam unjustly, defaming the name of Islam and defaming the reputation of Muslims. But I want to be so clear, my dear brothers and sisters. If those perpetrators believe that they are going to paradise with 72 virgins, they are going to hell. They are not going to heaven. And I have this news for them, that no virgin will be waiting for them. And my dear brothers and sisters, as I condemn those attacks, I equally condemn other attacks being done against some other innocent people. And here I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for the American Human Rights Council. It's been 5 years that the Yemeni people are facing the most heinous attack. 14 million Yemenis are being starved by the Saudi government and Saudi troops. And it is time that we raise our voice and we say enough. Enough for these atrocities and for those crimes that are supported by our government and by our own White House. 14 million people are facing death and starvation in Yemen, and you hardly hear anybody talking about it or condemning it or do anything to stop this calamity and this disaster. That is considered the worst humanitarian disaster in the world today. So my dear brothers and sisters, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, whether you're from Yemen or not from Yemen, whether we belong to Sri Lanka or any other country, whenever there is a human life being taken unjustly, we need to raise our voice and we say no to those tyrants. According our holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, أعظم الجهاد كلمة حق عند سلطان جائر. The biggest form of jihad is not to kill people. It's not to take your rifle and shoot innocent people. This is the distorted meaning of jihad. The biggest form of jihad is to speak the truth before tyrants. We have so many tyrants. One of them lives not too far from here in Washington, D.C. And the others are overseas. We need to speak out and we tell them respect human lives. Thank you so much. God bless you.
We also have a special leader from the Islamic Center of Detroit, Imam Hamid, Abdul Hamid.
الحمد لله الذي خلق الإنسان فكرمه، وصلاة وسلاما على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين ومن أعطى للناس حقوقهم وحريتهم في دين قال فيه أمير المؤمنين عمر رضي الله تبارك وتعالى عنه: متى استعبدتم الناس وقد ولدتهم أمهاتهم أحرارا. دين يحفظ للناس حقوقهم وحريتهم، لا يحفظ هذه الحقوق ولا هذه الحريات لبني البشر. إن الإسلام قد جاء ليحفظ للعالمين حقوق الحرية وحقوق الحياة. يرى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم طائرا قد روع في أفراخه وأولاده، فيحزن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لذلك حزنا شديدا، بل ويزجر الصحابة الكرام فيقول: من روع هذه في أفراخها. دين قال فيه عمر: متى استعبدتم الناس وقد ولدتهم أمهاتهم أحرارا. ولها قصة. لما فتح عمرو بن العاص مصر، جاء ابنه عبد الله رضي الله تبارك وتعالى عنه في سباق مع قبطي من أقباط مصر، فيسبق القبطي ابن أمير مصر، يسبق القبطي عبد الله بن عمر، فيحزن عبد الله بن عمر لذلك فيضرب القبطي. يذهب القبطي إلى الخليفة في المدينة المنورة، إلى أمير المؤمنين عمر، فيشكوه من ولد أمير مصر آنذاك، ويشكو له أنه قد ضربه وتطاول عليه. فيرسل عمر إلى عمرو بن العاص وإلى ولده عبد الله أن تعالوا إلى المدينة، ويذهبان معا، ويعطي عمر الصوت للقبطي ويقول له: اقتص لنفسك. فيأخذ القبطي الصوت ويضرب ابن الخليفة آنذاك، ثم ينظر إلى عمرو بن العاص ويقول: والله لو ضربت عمرو لكان لك الحق في ذلك، فإن عبد الله إنما ضربك لسلطان أبيه. ثم ينظر إليه ويقول له هذه الكلمة التي تكتب بماء من ذهب: متى استعبدتم الناس وقد ولدتهم أمهاتهم أحرارا. هذا هو الدين الذي جاء ليحفظ للناس حقوقهم، لأن الله تبارك وتعالى لما خلق الإنسان خلقه فكرمه، بل وفضله حتى فضله الله عز وجل على الملائكة. فأفضل الخلق عند الله هم بني البشر. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: ولقد كرمنا بني آدم وحملناهم في البر والبحر ورزقناهم من الطيبات وفضلناهم على كثير ممن خلقنا تفضيلا. تفضيل من الله. ويأتي الإسلام ليقر هذه الحقوق البشرية: حق في الحرية، حق في الاعتقاد، حق في التفكير، حق في الحياة، حق في ممارسة الشعائر، حق في كل جوانب ونواحي الحياة. يقر الإسلام ذلك للناس ويكفل ذلك للناس. ولما ذهب عمر رضي الله عز وجل عنه إلى فلسطين يرفض أن يصلي في كنيسة القيامة لأنه يريد أن يعطي للنصارى حقوقهم في التعبد، فيقول معللا ذلك حتى لا يقول المسلمون بعد ذلك ها هنا صلى عمر. يريد أن يعطي غير المسلمين حقوقهم، وما رأى أحد حرية في العقيدة ولا حرية في الحياة إلا في ظل الإسلام وفي تعامل المسلمين بدين الله. الحديث طويل ولا أريد أن أثقل. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
I'll give you a quick nutshell of what the Imam said. Basically, he spoke about the faith of Islam and what the faith of Islam represents. That it's a faith of peace, love, brotherhood, that has nothing to do with extremism, radicalization, or what have you. It's like any other faith, have the same message of love and peace and equality for all. Thank you, Imam.
Can all my judges come on up? All my judges from district court up to, I guess, Supreme Court of the United States, and attorneys. My brother Najab Mihana is here, Mrs. King. Come on, my lawyers and judges. I want you to join us. I want to bring to the stage, with all our judges and lawyers, she's a powerful woman. You see her billboards. She brands her brand like no other. A fabulous attorney, Miss Jumana K-Ruz. Give her a round of applause, our next presenter. And so all my judges, please come up here, grab the microphone and introduce yourself. Just say your name and your title.
Cynthia Latoya Miller, 36th District Court Judge. Good evening, Tracy Green, 3rd Circuit Court Family Juvenile Section.
Good evening, Shalina Kumar, I'm the Chief Judge of the Oakland County Circuit Court.
My name is Kelly Ann Ramsey. I'm on the 3rd Circuit Court Bench Criminal Division.
My name is Aliyah Hakim. I'm an attorney in Macomb and Wayne County.
Attorney Nijad Mihana. This is my beautiful wife, Aliyah Hakim.
We used to be in the Young Dims together when we were young.
Ron Robinson, attorney in Detroit.
That's my brother, Ron and Isaac. All right, give it up for Jumana. Oh, no, you're an attorney. You went to Kentucky Law School too, didn't you? From the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Good evening, Maria Moran, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you to the AHRC for this honor. I am very, very touched. And thank you to Imad Hamad. I know you do a lot for humanity, but I want to tell you that Imad is a friend. He is very kind. He is very loving. He is non-judgmental. And he is very perseverant. Thank you for your friendship, Imad. And thank you for giving me the honor of introducing a woman who is truly a trailblazer, speaking about advancing humanity and about being a role model for men and women, and particularly women. She is the first African-American circuit court in Oakland County. She is the first African-American female dean of the Oakland Circuit Bench. She is the past president of the National Bar Black Judges Association. She is the past president of the Michigan Black Judges Association. She is director of the Michigan Supreme Court Historical Society. She is state director at large of the Women's Lawyers Association of Michigan. And I can go on. She is a first at so many things. She has been a judge for 27 years, and before that was a lawyer for 10 years. She has given 37 years to public service. She was also a former assistant prosecutor in Oakland County and a former assistant U.S. Attorney General for the Eastern District of the Civil Division. And I just want to end by saying that since University of Detroit Mercy Law School opened, or was it the University of Detroit School? The law school. Since it opened in 1912, there has not been a single portrait of any woman until they decided to unveil the Honorable Denise Langford Morris's portrait. And again, that's the first female portrait since 1912. I give you the Honorable Denise Langford Morris.
Thank you so much, Jemana. What a warm, wonderful welcome. And I join with her in thanking the American Human Rights Council and my dear friend, Imad Hamad, and the President, Dr. Salah. Let's have a big round of applause for what they've done here tonight. You know, when you're a lawyer, much less a judge, we can talk. And I'm so glad that all of my colleagues have been introduced, especially my chief who's here tonight, Judge Kumar. And so many friends are here in the audience and everywhere. I do have a brief script and I'm going to be brief. But first I want to thank everyone, including the board of directors, the leadership, and the general membership for honoring me with this award. I can't tell you how humbled I am at the honoring along with these other great distinguished awardees. And I want to congratulate each one of them. I would name them by name, but for brevity, I'm going to keep it moving. Isaac has already spoken. I have a lot to say. There's so much love in this room. I want to start by asking everyone, just look at your neighbor and tell them that you love them. How often have we had a room like this? Yes, with so many people. We've got law enforcement, we've got every faith, we have every race, every ethnicity. And so every year, I've been coming to this for so long, and every year it just gets better and better. But look at us, we're all here together. The United States Declaration of Independence, created in 1776, states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Human beings are here in the Detroit area, across the United States, and throughout the world. We all have the same desires to be free and treated fairly while we live our best lives." Congratulations to the American Human Rights Council for recently receiving the United Nations, the Economic and Social Council Consultative Status Approval at its session at the United Nations in July of 2018. What an honor for their diligence and successful endeavors to tirelessly help others around the world and here at home. We stand together this evening with the Council in condemnation of crimes, no matter what kind, no matter where, locally, nationally, and internationally. We continue to pray for those brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka who lost loved ones during the recent attacks. So many people, however, are dying every single day, every place across the globe, here and abroad. As a judge, we have obligations to abide by the Constitution of the United States and the state of Michigan. I've presided over all types of crimes, and I know that everyone that appears in front of me is presumed to be innocent. I'm here tonight because the council has selected me. However, I can only accept this award on behalf of all my brother and sister judges, those standing behind me and those that are not here this evening, that work so hard every day to ensure that justice and fairness prevails in their courtrooms. Let's give these judges that work hard, that are here now, and that are with us in spirit, We welcome Governor Whitmer's newest appointments, Christina Robinson, and I know you know Hillel Farhat. We welcome them to the bench. I'm gonna clear it up. All right. Recently, I was in Nigeria on a teaching mission, pre-election and post-election litigation. I was with two other judges, a federal judge from Georgia and a state court of appeals judge from Texas. We have so many blessings here in America. I learned from those judges. They preside over cases. They have no audio or video recorder, no court reporter. They have to handwrite out every argument, all the testimony, and then rule. Can you imagine? In addition, they are precluded from practicing law if they've been a judge for 10 minutes, 10 years, or 50. Whether they are fired or quit, once you've been a judge, you can never practice law again. It has a tremendous impact on how they handle their cases. I serve on the American Bar Association Africa Council, and I'm going to South Africa shortly to talk about human trafficking. I'm one of the few judges that has actually had human trafficking trials and multiple pleas. And I have to say this, the human trafficking is one of the biggest, most monstrous, heinous crimes, and it's everywhere in the world. These leaders that have been honored here today have done lots of work to try to eliminate crimes against individuals, regardless of who they are perpetrated by. We need this organization. We need to support this great organization. We need to hope for peace, justice, and equality here in the Detroit area, in all of Michigan, all of the United States, and abroad, because we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's my honor to accept this award this evening on behalf of members of the judiciary that are just like me, working hard every single day. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chapman's being bossy. We also have Judge Kalilia Davis here from the 36th District Court. Say, Kalilia! Come on, cooperate. Kalilia Davis. All right, we appreciate her being here. I'm going to say, just you come right here. Jumana, you come right there. See, I'm trying to produce this right now. All right, me right here next to Jumana, I guess. I'm just playing. I need all my other elected officials, city officials, to come up for this next presentation. Please line up, let's go. We got my brothers from Hamtramck here, Anna Mia, Almaz Marie. We have Mayor Paletko, Dearborn Heights. We got everybody. We got Miss Garrett from Lathrop Village. I can see you out there. Okay, lawyers and judges, get out my courtroom. Congratulations. Jane Garcia is here, one of the most prominent leaders in the history of Detroit. Please join us. Jane Garcia, come to the stage from LaSed. Elaine Steele from the Rosa Parks Institute, please join us and all our elected officials as we do our next presentation. Dr. Khalid Chagra, please come up here, a big supporter of education. Dr. Khalid Almaz-Marie, the best chiropractor in Michigan. A good friend of my mother. Dr. Khalid Almaz-Marie, are you here? I'd like you to join us. Yemeni Chamber of Commerce, Ben. Brother Salah Ali, please join us on stage. I want to introduce to you our mayor, Karen Majewski, City of Hamtramck, for our next presentation.
Thank you, Isaac. And thank you, Imad, for this opportunity. I'm glad to be back here again. So, our next honoree, you know, we've got a lot of elected officials, town and city elected officials behind me, and they can all tell you that that is one of the hardest jobs, maybe even harder than being an elected official at the state or national level, right? Because you meet your constituents every day on your streets, in the supermarket, and they've all got something to say to you. And it's not always good. So, for that reason, it's a special honor to have this opportunity to recognize a city mayor who not only deals with the minutia of running a city day to day, of all the kinds of issues that we all know in our cities, the potholes and the human resources issues and all the stuff that our neighbors tell us about. But she reminds us that we can bring bigger principles to that work, that it's not just the potholes and it's not just passing an ordinance here or there, that we really bring our beliefs and our principles to that work, our higher principles to the ground, to our neighbors, to the lives of our neighbors. So I wanted to say a few things about Dr. Sadef Jaffer, who is the mayor of Montgomery Township, New Jersey. She is also a PhD. She has her PhD in Near Eastern Languages and Civilization from Harvard. Pretty impressive. And she brings that knowledge and that experience and that those principles to her work on the Montgomery Mosaic, which works on multicultural, empowers multicultural issues in her city. She's a published scholar. She's on the board of the New Agenda for women's empowerment, combating sexual harassment and sexual assault. And she's an inspiration to young women within her community, sitting on the board of the Inspiring South Asian American Women's Organization. So she does a lot, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to recognize her, to recognize Dr. Sadef Jaffer, Mayor of Montgomery Township, New Jersey, and present her with this recognition, just a small token of recognition for what you do every day.
I need all the elected officials to say your name and your title or former title.
Herman Davis, former President, Board of Education.
Kelly Garrett, Mayor of Lathrop Village.
Khalid Al-Masmari, chiropractic physician.
Leslie Herrick, Dearborn City Council.
Dan Plutko, Mayor of City of Dearborn Heights.
Elaine Steele, co-founder of Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development.
Saad Al-Misbah, Hamtramck Council member.
Buenas tardes, my name is Jane Garcia and I'm the chair of the oldest Hispanic organization in Southwest Detroit called La SE. Gracias.
Khalid Chadra, human rights activist.
Ben Bawazir, Yemeni Chamber of Commerce, and also a member of AHRC.
And now me, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Hamtramck.
Pat Williams, Canton Township Supervisor.
Dr. Salah Musna, you heard me before.
Salali, AHRC.
Adel Al-Assad, Vice Chairman, Unity Chamber of Commerce.
Dr. Nakanji Thomas, Precinct Delegate and Advisory Board Committee for AHC.
I'll pass it to the Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, the Mayor, for that kind introduction. It's an honor to be here with you all this evening. In the world of advocacy, we don't take very much time to celebrate because we're so focused on finding solutions to the issues at hand, those that drive. Yet it is powerful and important for us to celebrate human rights values. As stated in the preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we believe that, quote, there is inherent dignity of equal and unalienable rights to all members of the human family, and that it's the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. It is essential that we educate Americans about human rights because it will help us see our struggles in solidarity with our fellow members of the human family throughout the world. I owe my values to my parents, Badul and Mushtaq Jaffer, who are here with us this evening, so can we have a round of applause for them? They taught me to care and respect for others. They taught me that I could accomplish anything I set my mind to. My message to you all tonight stems from these values. I challenge you to banish cynicism. Each of the inspiring people here this evening have struggled in the service of humanity. Politics is one arena in which we need to implement the values of humanity and equality, and I hope to see people from diverse backgrounds taking more positions of power and authority. Rather than being cynical, my involvement in local politics has taught me that anything is possible when we join together to make a difference. And when it comes to human rights abuses, sometimes it can seem overwhelming, as if the problems are so huge, so far away from us that we can never make an impact. And I'm here to say that those values can be implemented on the local level, and the local level is something that all of us can get involved in. And I encourage you to think about it, and if anybody needs some advice, they can certainly come to me because I'm happy to share some with you. We all know that there are challenges that face us, but we must remember the powerful accomplishments of human rights advocacy, the rebuilding of physical infrastructure after the destruction of war and genocide. The human spirit perseveres through the most difficult of circumstances. Even when we feel powerless to help those suffering, we can at least speak in solidarity. And I think all of your presence here tonight shows that you have a commitment, you stand in solidarity, you speak out in solidarity with all those who are suffering human rights abuses, whether it's here in the United States or abroad. As a scholar of literature and culture, I can't miss an opportunity to share a bit of poetry with you tonight. These are some translated lines from the Urdu poet Faiz Ahmed Faiz's poem, Bol, or Speak. Speak, for your lips are free. Speak, your tongue is still yours. Your upright body is yours. Speak, your life is still yours. Speak, this little time is plenty. Before the death of body and tongue, speak, for truth is still alive. Speak, say whatever must be said. Thank you to those who are here this evening who continue to speak for justice and equality. My closing wish is that we will be continually blessed with a desire to serve, and may we see justice prevail in the various contexts in which we work. Thank you.
Here comes the mayor. I want to acknowledge Hajj Imam Salim Yusuf and his family. Please stand up, Imam Salim Yusuf. Where are you? Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, your leadership. And you came deep with the whole family. We appreciate you. I also want to recognize the Dearborn Community Center, Imam Mahdi and my brother Nabil. Please stand up from the Dearborn Community Center Mosque over on Schaefer. Those are my people right there. God bless you. I want to bring up our next presenter. My mom has me jumping around the program, so don't be confused. Just try to stick with me. Miss Nidra Kadri from Humans for Humanity. This organization is a very, 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 very important organization that has provided humanitarian relief in Syria, but they also get on the ground in Detroit and help low-income families here. And they have established chapters at Wayne State University. Nothing's more powerful than empowering our young people. And we had the opportunity to honor the Wayne State chapter of her organization in Lansing, and just give it up for our presenter, Esnedra Kadri.
Thank you, State Rep Robinson. Good evening, everybody. My name is Nada Kadri. For the past 3 years, I've worked in Greece, actually, on the front lines of the refugee crisis. Greece, no Syria.
I think you did. The students.
Yeah, the Students for Humanity.
That's your whole,
yes.
They're under you.
Yes, thank you for honoring them recently, actually. Yes, yes.
Well, we adding countries.
Yeah, we're adding countries. I've had the pleasure and the honor of, actually, a lot of people think that it's just Syrians. It's not. We have people from Africa, from Syria, from Iraq, from all over. And I just wanted to take a quick second before I present this award to the next humanitarian to just reflect on a little experience that happened with me this summer. And it's not going to be a sad tale about a refugee. It's actually a little bit about all of you. This past summer, when you're in Europe, you get kind of a different perspective. The things that you get used to and you think are normal, you don't really see. And so this past summer, we were talking about integration and the different nationalities of refugees that are coming to Greece. And I looked at them and I said, where I come from, you have the African American, the Arab American. Our Americanness joins us all. It's one affinity. But we're all very, very proud of our culture. It's never been where I'm embarrassed to say I'm Arab, or I'm ashamed to say that my skin color is a little bit darker than someone else. And I swear, if I could just tell you the amount of times that people just looked at me like it was such a foreign concept. And one just said, wow, we wish we could have that here. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize my beautiful Detroiters and to say that you really do truly, honestly embody the spirit of humanity. And this reflects on what Judge Morris said. Please take a look at your neighbor. I see black sitting with white, Christian, with Muslim, atheist, with just everybody. And again, coming from what I've seen on the other side of the world, I cannot say this enough. You guys really, really deserve the recognition for the love, tolerance, and diversity that we find in Detroit. And I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on that, because it is the spirit of humanity, and that is at the essence of what humanity is, seeing what's in the heart. Without further ado, I'm not going to take much more of your time. We all know that Yemen, when they call it the biggest humanitarian crisis of the year, if I can take you for a moment to see past just those words. Humanitarian crisis, what it really means is, I can't sit in my home anymore because it's not safe. I go to sleep hungry. My child, I don't have clothes for my child. Children are dying of starvation. And with Yemen, I remember when we were in the beginning of the refugee crisis, it was very difficult to get aid into Yemen, or to get the attention onto Yemen, because it was just kind of this little corner country. Everybody's concerned with the advocacy issue of their day. So to be able to speak out on Yemen's behalf, to be able to be on media, to make it to the United Nations, to advocate on such an extraordinary level is indeed a very, very big accomplishment. And as one grassroots humanitarian to another, I know it's not easy. So without further ado, I'd like to present the award to Ms. Samar Nasser, founder of Yemen Aid. Please give her a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, I'm from New York, by the way. I know, which is amazing. I know, we have Brooklyn here. We have all of that. You know, it is an absolute pleasure to be with you all here tonight to celebrate the community, to celebrate the efforts by all those who are passionate on injustice and elevating the suffering of those here in the United States or elsewhere across the globe. But most importantly, it is about coming together to continue to spread the message of care, to spread the message of humanity, to spread the message of love and perseverance and peace. And the American Human Rights Council does this. This is actually mind-blowing to me, by the way. We can't do this in New York. We just can't do it. You guys blew it up completely. This hall is packed jam, and that's amazing. Good for you. It is very hard, and I can't say this enough, to work as a humanitarian. I have a beautiful team here in the United States who come from different backgrounds. Google employees, people from Yale University, people from marketing from the top 500 Fortune companies across the United States. But one of our biggest challenges as Yemenis is the narrative. The narrative has been complicated here in the United States. And I want to say, go back to the internal situation in Yemen. I need you all to ask a Yemeni what's going on in Yemen. Our role in life is about purpose. And purpose starts sometimes with a tragedy or an unfortunate life and death situation. And for me in 2015, I had that. I was in Yemen, and I got stuck in conflict in Yemen with street wars and a lot of dangerous situation. And I came back to the United States and I said, there has to be a way to do something for Yemen. We have amazing resources. We have the law, we have network. What is there we can do? And from then, Yemen Aid was born, and we have since then assisted Yemenis on the ground till today, since 2016. But one of the most important things that I think a lot of us humanitarians here today need to understand is that we're here to preserve the dignity of Yemenis. We are here to interests. We are here to protect their view and their perspective on what this conflict is about. And without further ado, I just wanted to end and say something very important for me, and I think, and I always repeat this. If we do not help our country at the worst times, we do not deserve it at the best times. If we do not, I'm going to repeat it again because I think we tend to forget this. If we do not support our countries, wherever you're from, whether Haiti, whatever, in Yemen, whatever it is, if we do not support it during its worst time, then I swear to God, we do not deserve it at its best time. So with that, I'm going to end it, and thank you so much for this award, and we appreciate all the support.
Just want to acknowledge Ali Bulid Abu Jaffer. Jimmy. Sheikh Jamal, come on up, my brother. I want to acknowledge the co-founder of Access, Local 600 member, one of the fathers of our community, Ali Bulid Abu Abu Jaffer, from the south end of Dearborn, Michigan. Big labor, and he's a Democrat, but we're not going to talk about that. Me too. Because you got your chicken, I'm not as stressed anymore about anything. Bon appetit, by the way. Ahmad is very bossy. I'm going to ask for an honorarium next year. I love him. Are we from all the way from Sweden? Mr. Benjamin Ladra and Ahmad will give the award.
Well,
First, I have to apologize on behalf of Dr. Maha Jafar from Sudan. She was one of our awardees tonight. She couldn't make it. All of you heard the news in Sudan, so she could not make it, and she sent her regrets. This is a very special award, dear to my heart, simply because I'm talking about a human rights activist who's Jewish from the country of Sweden. And I'm Palestinian, who born in a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon, and I take pride in that. There is one common thing between both of us. Me as a Palestinian, me as a Muslim, me as a Christian, me as Jewish. Simply we're one when it comes to peace and justice and liberty and equality for all. Justice is justice. Freedom is a freedom. Liberty is liberty. Occupation is occupation. So this gentleman here, Benjamin, as a Jewish Sweden citizen, walked 5,700 kilometers from Sweden to Palestine, all the way, walking for one reason, to highlight the plight of the suffering of the Palestinian people who are living under the unjust, immoral, and illegal Israeli occupation of their land. This is a Jewish Sweden citizen from Europe who took the responsibility to give the humanity its true meaning, that we are all equal humans. We are all entitled for the equal justice, and injustice, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere, and we remember that very well. It's with a great deal of pride I introduce to you our guest from Sweden, Benjamin Ladara. Dr. Saleh, Haj Sufyan Nabhani from ICD, come, please. Dr. Saleh again. Dr. Sami Baraka. Okay.
Good evening. everyone, and thank you dearly for inviting me and having me here. Just a small correction, I'm not Jewish. I don't adhere to any faith, as I grew up with my Swedish mother, where Swedish people are very secular, one of the most secular people on earth. So I recently walked from Sweden to Palestine, and it was a big decision. I quit my job, I was working at the Red Cross, I quit my studies, I was studying global studies. I sold most of my possessions to be able to afford it. And some might ask why. It was a long journey, it took a year, it took 11 months to be exact, through 13 countries, Sweden, Germany, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Greece, Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan. And then finally, on that day that I had been thinking about for 11 months, walking through the desert in the Jordan Valley, I arrived on the border to Palestine, to occupy Palestine. And as you know, it's controlled by Israeli soldiers, and so I was put in interrogation, which lasted for 6 hours before they told me that I was not welcome in Palestine, and that I could not come back without their permission, which, as you know, for human rights activists are rarely, if ever, granted. So why do this journey? What good will it do to be on the road by yourself? I was alone most of the time, for a year, sleeping in my tent outside, walking through these countries. The Palestinian people will still be imprisoned, children will be caged, thrown into jail, 500 to 700 children every single year. The fishermen in Gaza will still be assaulted when they go out to catch their fish by the Israeli Navy, which will open fire on them. In the world's biggest prison, that is Gaza. These things will not change just because one guy somewhere walks for a bit. And yet, people don't seem to know much about what is happening over there. When I talk to my Swedish friends, they're not aware of the plight of the Palestinians. And when I turn on the news, very rarely will you hear something. You will hear about clashes occasionally, about Palestinian bodies clashing with Israeli bullets when the doctors are trying to give first aid in Gaza. When I was in London, I met Dr. Tarek Lubani, a Canadian doctor who goes there every single year, and he was shot through both his legs by an Israeli sniper while giving first aid. I think awareness always precedes action. And this journey was about raising awareness. Our empathy is guided by our knowledge. If we are unaware of suffering of a people, then we cannot care about them, and we cannot advocate for them, and we cannot demand justice. And very unfortunately, very few people are aware of what's happening in Palestine, and I wanted to do what I can as an individual. I'm not a part of any organization, but for anyone that's starting to become aware of what's happening, I think your heart won't allow you to stay silent or to stay put when you see this. My first introduction to Palestine was from a Palestinian friend who had fled from Syria. Because of the war, the Al-Mouk refugee camp had been bombed to the ground, and he made the treacherous journey over the Mediterranean and arrived in Sweden. And we were working at the Red Cross together, and we became friends. And over coffee, I learned about Palestine, and I went on to do my own research, which I encourage every single one of you to do as well. There's a lot to know. And once we do, we can become that movement that is needed to pressure governments, to pressure our leaders into doing something. And all of you here have a very special place. We're in the United States, and for me as a Swedish person, even if I convince every single Swedish person to care about this from the bottom of their hearts, to push the Swedish leaders, to pressure the Israeli government to stop the atrocities against the Palestinian people, Sweden is not a big country. We're 10 million people. You are a big country. and you send a lot of support to Israel also from your taxpayers' money, military assistance. $10 billion a year. $3 billion a year, $10 million a day from your tax money goes to buy weapons to the Israeli army. And you have a choice to talk about this or not. Now you know, for those of you that didn't know, and the next step is action. Awareness always precedes action, and there's a lot of things happening in Palestine, and it's very connected to what's happening in the United States. So I hope that we all will take a stand in one of the questions of our time, that is Palestine. A lot of things are happening there right now. And we live in a very precarious time, and the Palestinian people have been languishing in refugee camps for 70 years. They're the biggest refugee population on earth, and has been for quite some time. And I believe it's up to every single one of us to do what we can. Now my journey taught me one thing, that if you don't give up, and if you continue to take the next step, you will eventually arrive at your goal. It can take a year. It will take you over mountains, through forests, through deserts. It will take you through encounters with people that do not look kindly when you walk with a big flag. It will take you through arrests and many police encounters. But if you don't give up, even when you're alone, sleeping in a tent, somewhere in Bulgaria in the snow, if you just continue, you'll eventually reach your goal. And in the end, my journey is just a tiny step. It was just the first step. And we need to take the next steps together, all of us, for human rights, for the rights of the Palestinian people that have been denied for so long, and for the rights of every people. They're not the only ones suffering, but they are a big group suffering, and we have a big responsibility and place in the United States, and as individuals and as people, as humans, to stand in solidarity with anyone treated unfairly, and to do our utmost. We set the goals and the limits ourselves to how much we want to do, how much we want to engage. And if we do it a lot, and if we do it together, we can start to move the world in that direction we want to move it. I want to end with saying that a quote from Martin Luther King, that the moral arc of the universe is long, but in the end it bends towards justice. And it is up to us to make that arc bend a little faster with our actions, and not only our words, because actions speak a lot louder than words, and do everything in our power to stand for human rights and fight for it wherever it's required. Thank you.
Give it up for our honoree from Sweden. I also want to acknowledge Brother Hassan Nawash, who's been in the fight for justice for Palestine. Please stand up for the Palestine office. Brother Hassan Nawash, if you want to get involved in the fight, there it is right there. I also want to invite everybody, well, on behalf of Brother Saeed Haidara, president of the Haidara Foundation, they're having the iftar dinner at Byblos on May 23rd. And they do have some good hummus there. We're actually going to have a competition, Greenfield Manor versus Byblos, Joe Biden. And this is going to be for the Yemeni children. And we bless you and thank you for being here and all your support. We also want to acknowledge Yaba. Is Yaba in the house? Make some noise. Yeah. Say Yaba Dabba Doo. All right. I always get in trouble if I don't acknowledge Yaba, right? Ali Balid, Ali Baklani, Yaba Dafur, father of the Yemeni community. All right. If you can say his name as quick as I can, I'll give you $1. But we're going to move to our final presentations. We're down to 2. Man, I got this, Ahmad. They're my finale. All right, we got the sisters from Madonna University. Give it up for the sisters. Please stand up, Madonna University educators, fighters for justice from Madonna University. They're not whooping us with the ruler anymore, but they're still tough. I was raised Catholic, boy. They tough. Give it up for our sisters from Madonna University. We want to bring up Mr. Mazen Hajali from Wayne State University Law School. Mazen Hajali for our next presentation. Want to acknowledge President Mahdi from the American Muslim Society. They just celebrated their 80th anniversary. Give it up for the American Muslim Society in the south of the Dearborn, holding it down for 81 years, actually. Thank you, oh, my look, brother.
I don't know if I can do as well as he is. He's killing it up here. I want to thank everybody for being out here tonight, seeing all these amazing faces, all the great community leaders. I want to start with one simple question. What is humanity? It's very simple for me. It's the right to economic opportunity, the right to be treated with dignity and respect, the right to have hope, the right to have a future. It's what unites us as humans. These rights are not new, they're not profound, they're basic, they're foundation. They're the foundation of this great nation. In 1776, our great forefathers, sick of oppression and tyranny, set out on one simple mission. Now I know Judge Langford Morris had already quoted the Declaration of Independence, but she took my soundbite, so I gotta keep going with it. America's not an idea. America's not a military. America's not Wall Street. America is what we make it. It is the greatest place on earth because we make it that way. We don't need to make it great again, it's already great. We progress, we don't regress. We are better now than we were in 1776. We are better now than we were in the 1860s. We are better now than we are in the 1930s. And the only way we get better in the future is because we believe so, and we work for it. I saw this video this morning today, and it really touched me. There was a judge in Massachusetts. I don't know if my fellow judges and lawyers read this New York Times article this morning. She sent an ICE agent outside in the hallway because one of the people in front of her this morning had a traffic stop. She turned off the mic, she sent him downstairs so he could leave. She's being prosecuted by the United States Attorney. But what she did made me realize something. It takes one person. It takes one person to be willing to sacrifice their job, their law career, whatever it takes. It takes one person to believe that you can do it. And she saved that person's life. He would have been detained by ICE and he would have been immigrated. She did something that everybody should notice, and then it went in the New York Times and I read it today. That is making awareness, that is making a profound movement. America instills in every person in this country the belief that no matter where you are, wherever you start, nothing you can achieve if you work hard at it. There's nothing. We only have one limit in this life and it's time. Everything else can be achieved. As a son of immigrants, I would never believe I'd be standing on this place right here. My parents immigrated here for the same reason our forefathers did, for the same reason that everyone else did. To seek respect and freedom, and they didn't do that for themselves, they did it for me, they did it for the next generation. Like so many other parents and other kids out here, we are doing the same thing. And I have the opportunities that they never got to have. I'm beyond grateful to be able to go to law school. It was a dream for me. This is the only place on earth where you can go to law school for free. If you work hard enough, you can go there for free. Wherever you want, you can work hard enough and you can make it. I was lucky enough to have amazing mentors in my life. I want to thank, she's not out here tonight, but I want to thank Chief Judge Denise Page Hood, United States Attorney Matthew Schneider for always being open and listening to me. And it's astonishing to me, it's absolutely astonishing to me that a son of an immigrant out of nowhere can sit down with these people and have intellectual conversations and they can give them advice, they can help you move forward in your life. It's insane. However, there's one big however. Our core values are being shook. They're being tested. It's like an 8-point magnitude earthquake. They are being shook. I refuse to let anyone or anything compromise these ideals, and our next speaker has worked tirelessly to promote these ideas, inspiring and helping others. Mr. Kurt A. David has authored numerous books, is an Emmy Award-winning host and creator from our glory days, has given resources and his time to champion our country's amazing idea. At a time like this, we need more people like Mr. David, who wear the white hat and fight the good fight. Without further ado, Mr. Kurt A. David.
Thank you. Salam, shalom, good evening. Probably more difficult than speaking before or after a meal is speaking during a meal. And many people may not realize this or know this because of my height at 6'9", but my grandfather was from the Middle East. He was a medical doctor from the Middle East. And perhaps that's what made me a very good basketball player, because often growing up I heard yella, yella, all around the house very often. Made me quicker as a result. But regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of our size, regardless whether you're in the back of the room or the front of the room or the side of the room, I believe that all of us have been created for a purpose based on our own gifts and abilities. My purpose is to serve God and serve others, and I do so in very many ways as a keynote speaker, host of an Emmy Award-winning TV show. But more importantly, I've noticed that throughout history, God has used people with flaws to accomplish many great things. In fact, I appreciated what Ms. Summers said not too long ago about purpose, that all of us have been born with a purpose, and a purpose in our life. And despite the flaws in our life, we can continue to pursue success, but more importantly, I've learned that pursuing significance is very important. And so one of the things I'd like to do is close with a story. In my previous professional life, I was an elementary and middle school counselor. And during that time, I had a 10-year-old girl that came into my office that I've seen quite often, typically well put together, very well dressed, great hair, always seemed to have it together, except for that one day that she came in my office. I could tell something was going on, something different that day. And as she came into my office, I discovered what it was. Because as I started to ask her more questions, she started talking about what was going on at that moment. And she was not doing well. In fact, she was doing very poorly, to the point that she told me she wanted to take her own life. During that time as a school counselor, I asked her many of the questions to find out exactly what was going on. And of course, I contacted her parents, got her in there, and when I got to the point of asking her, why is it that you felt that there was nothing else you could do but take your own life? She told me point blank, very frankly, that I didn't have any other options. That I felt like I didn't have any other options. And the reason why I tell you that story this evening is that you can bet that I gave her many other options that day. And to this day, she's still doing very well as a result. But my challenge to you is that each of us have options that we can provide to others. Regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of our background, we can help others. And my challenge to you is that you continue to help others on a daily basis, regardless of our roles. We all have different roles and abilities, we all have purpose, and I just ask that you continue to pursue that purpose and to love the life that God has given for you. God bless, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, he's taller than me, this guy right here. Please.
Ahmad, can you come up here, please? I want to stand in between us. Now, I joke with Ahmad that I was once his size, okay? But like I tell people, it's not the size of the man or the woman, it's the size of the heart. And this man has a great heart, and I'm honored to be here this evening.
Well, I know that's it. It's just a surprise presentation for Isaac. But I want to tell you one thing. When we talk about human rights, when we talk about injustices, environmental justice is part of the struggle facing our societies. Don't be surprised. For the past 3 months, there has been an active coalition working against the radioactive waste in Detroit, working against the toxic water, the shut of water in Detroit. And we here, on behalf of the AHRC, salute all the partners, and Isaac Robinson being one of the heroes leading this fight, so people can enjoy their basic human right of clean water and equality of air. So no to radioactive waste in Detroit, Wayne County, and Michigan. And we salute the water board, the People's Water Board also, for being here and for their fight water is life, water is a human right. That's the bottom line to it. And this spirit, Isaac is not aware that we wanted to give him a plaque, recognizing his leadership, because I tell you, I've been busy with the AHRC for the past 5 years. The last 3 months were the busiest, just catching up with Isaac from station to station, from a protest to another, from press conference to another, fighting against toxic water pollution and radioactive waste in Detroit. So I'm humbled to present it to my brother, the hero, Isaac Robinson.
I will only accept this if my colleague Lori Stone, State Rep from Warren, and Mother Joanne Watson comes up here if she's still here. Lori Stone, please join us. Any of my state reps, please come up.
I just wanted to attest to Isaac Robinson's service to the community. He's such a huge advocate to the environmental justice group, from air quality to water improvements and so on and so forth. And I've been working alongside with him in these very important issues. So I want to personally thank Isaac for everything he's done for environmental justice and the state representation of his district.
Remember, water is life, water is a human right. No radioactive waste in Detroit.
Thank you, Ahmad. Make some noise for Ahmad. I just want to let you know I am not a comedian and I don't get paid to do this. And I thank you for acknowledging some of the work we've been working on. But everybody say, lower the rates. Lower the rates. Lower the rates. In Cleveland, they pay $1,200 a year. Say $1,200. In Detroit, we get quotes for $9,000, $10,000. The average is $5,400. And I'm getting questions about what we're doing on car insurance. Let me tell you, me and Rep. Stone, we are researching the laws. We don't have a majority. The Republicans do in the House and Senate. But let me tell you, if we stand up and fight, we're going to lower the rates. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but let me tell you, in California, they have 13 actuaries that review the rates. In Michigan, they got 1. So one thing we need to do is hire some actuaries to review the rates. Under Michigan law, there is no authority of the state of Michigan to say a rate is excessive. They can charge us whatever they want under Michigan law. So we got some amendments, and we're going to inform the people about it. And Governor Whitmer's going to have to get behind it. And if you're a Republican and you're not getting behind it, you're going to get thrown out of office. And if you're a Democrat and you're not getting behind it, we're going to throw you out of office. Everybody say, file and use. That's the type of state we are. The insurance company can charge us 10 grand, file it and use it. California is, say this, prior approval. Prior approval. So in states where you get to have prior approval, where there's a regulatory body, the rates are lower. We know what we got to do. But we're going to have to shake the system up. And I'm ready to fight. Are you ready to fight? I just wanted to get that out since he gave me an award or something. I have about 10 other issues that I'm going to tell you about the next meeting. All right, we have one more surprise award. We have a guest, a teacher from Lebanon, Miss Roba Sabiri is in the house. Please come on up, Rhoda. Where's Rhoda? Mayor Miyeski and some of our elected officials, please join us for this photograph with Sister Roba. And some of my sisters from Madonna University, Councilman Almaz Marie, any of our elected officials, please join us as we honor this great teacher from Lebanon.
For the sister. Sadaf, come on. Mayan Najibreski. We're done with the program, so don't feel hostage to that. This is for Roba Spati. Focus, focus. Mr. Arkan السماوي تعال الله يخليك. Ready for the photo. Mr. Abdullah Sheikh, come here. Yeah, Abdullah. Abdullah.
I want to acknowledge MD Alam from AMPAC, MD Alam, brother activist, community leader, Dr. Kaja. Everybody, if you want some good fried chicken, this is the man right here. It's not the colonel, it's the captain. Captain Jay's Fish and Chicken. I think he has crack inside that lemon and pepper. Be very careful. And there's some good shrimp and fish, all kinds of things. All right, everybody, if I didn't give you a shout out, it's because I just didn't have enough time, but your name is in this book, and I love you and thank you for being here.
ان شاء الله